Hello, hello, and good morning, Green Team. Happy, beautiful spring day. I'm so excited to be with you today, and we have such a fun show that is full of just amazing energy. We're going to be talking with Brigitte Mars and Bethe Lovelight about this idea of get off your grass and how to create an edible landscape. And these are two amazing, creative, just loving women that it's going to be so fun to chat with them. So I'm going to bring them on in 1 second. I want to just remind you of a couple things. Next week on our show on the Green Team Academy podcast, we're going to be talking with Beverly Grant, and she is a dear friend of mine who has started the Mo Better Greens Marketplace, the Seeds of Power Unity Farm, and has all kinds of ideas of how to bring local food and healing into communities. And so that's going to be an awesome talk. So I hope that you can join us for that. And also, the 2021 International Climate Action Challenge kicks off on August 18th. So if anybody that you know has an idea for something they want to see happen in their community, we invite you to participate. And we have scholarships. We have a 5-video series. You can jump in and learn all about it. So that's at climateactionchallenge.net. So awesome. And we've got Bigger Al-Islam, hello, joining us from Uganda. Good morning or evening where you are. Thanks for being here, Bigger. Bigger is doing all kinds of cool things in Uganda with youth planting trees and doing incredible stuff. So we're all on the same team here. Mm-hmm. So good morning, Brigitte and Bethe Lovelight.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's so great to be with you. This is like a dream come true. So I'm so happy.
Thank you so much.
We're delighted to be with you today. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. So how about Bethe Lovelight? Do you want to start with just kind of an intro on a little bit about yourself and why you are passionate about, because I know you're a musician, you have all these things going on, and why this topic about getting out there and changing the way that we're using our landscape?
Absolutely. So I'm a conscious hip hop musician. I sing for truth and beauty and goodness and the plants and the bees and clean air and just a better world. And music and harmony and vibration are such an important part of our health, because every word and vibration is coming in and affecting our chakras and our body and our mind and our spirit. And it's so important that this food that we're taking in is free of pesticides and is watered with clean water, and that we're able to radiate health. And so right now there's so many wild weeds coming up out of the ground, and we've been having wild weed salads, and to eat something that is wild I feel like it affects my DNA, and it activates the wild inside of me, which then allows me to feel more free and more activated. And so for me, it really is about radiant health. And that's such an important part of my sovereignty and my freedom, because then I'm able to think clearly and see clearly and make better decisions and feel excited about life and radiate health. So that's kind of what it's all about for me.
Well, and you're demonstrating that right now. So it's really fun to be able to convey that in real time. So thank you for that intro. And how about you, Brigitte? I've known about you forever. I raised my kids in Niwot and always thought we would get our act together to go on an herbal walk, but we're being quite wild ourselves and traveled around the world quite a bit. But anyhow, I'm just so happy to be connecting with you. But yeah, do you want to give kind of an intro and tell us why you have come to this point right now where you're reminding people of this beautiful resource that we have?
Shirley Joan. Well, Brigitte Mars, I'm a medical herbalist, and that means I help people to heal their health issues using natural plant medicine. And many years ago, I lived in a teepee in the Ozarks and lived pretty much off of wild edible foods. And I live downtown Boulder, Colorado now. And, I see this is really a huge issue. We are using a third of our nation's water to water grass. And, you walk around a neighborhood and it's just grass, 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 and pesticides applied signs. And so we're really, on a mission to get people to rethink this, because not only does it mean that we are obtaining our food from somewhere else, having to use gas to go buy our food, if people were to use that water, and probably even a lot less of it, because grass is a very water intensive crop, but then people will use gasoline to mow the grass down that they work so hard to grow. So what if we rethink that? And it means we might have to change those antiquated homeowner association bylaws about, like, you can only grow grass. But, our planet is in peril, and the time to wake up is right now. And to think that the government's going to do it, no, they've got their lawns themselves with big bills watering all that grass. So there's many things people can plant that provide pollination for the bees. And we'd like people to think about growing food or medicinal herbs on their lawn and using that water more wisely. And it really comes down to save time, save money, save your health, save the bees, help oxygenate the planet. It really is an opportunity that we can all benefit from. Teach your kids about what's what. Surely there's a few poisonous plants out there, but a lot of the things that we've been conditioned to think are weeds are actually edible and medicinal plants.
That's a great intro. And I think, kind of building on what Bethe Lovelight mentioned, as far as the sovereignty, I think this idea of like decolonizing our relationship to nature. So just go straight to nature and eat the good stuff, rather than going through all this humankind craziness that we've built up between ourselves. So this is a beautiful example of that. And so I was thinking, maybe let's see if this is going to work to share a minute of the video. I think let's start with the song, and the Long Gone song. I love the beginning of this. So let's see if we can make this happen. We practiced earlier. I should say I practiced, because I always need a little practice. So the Long Gone song, and then we'll talk about it a bit more. Actually, okay, you know what? I'm on the wrong one. Hold on for a second. Let me try this again.
And this is really an opportunity to show that, we can all use our voice, our art, to convey a message. So we all need to be doing something. And this is one of the things we're doing.
Yeah, I think it's just such a great example. Okay, so I'm going to try this. It's Dandelion. That was the one that has the mowing in the beginning, right?
Dandelion, don't you be crying. We will help the people to see all the medicine you give for free. Yeah. It's the first food for the bees in the springtime. These radiant blooms of yellow sunshine, and you can make a salad right out your door, and it's fresher than anything at the store. Dandelion, you're so dandelion. Oh, dandelion, no. We love you so, we're gonna let you grow, yeah. 'Cause everybody knows pesticides got to go. The bees are dying, oh no. Let the wise weeds grow. energy like a little engine.
I love that. And I think what you guys are doing that's so interesting to me is, this isn't a new message.
Mm-mm.
And yet when I had the experience of moving back to Denver to stay with my mom, and she'd been in the same house for almost 50 years at that point, a big, huge lawn. And I was like, what the heck? This we've been hearing since the 70s at least, that we need to convert our lawns to something else that's not so water using and pesticide using. And that's what spurred me to start the Congress Park Green Team. And so that's one thing I want to mention too, is that if you're wanting to make this change, I really recommend that people start a team, because it takes everything to get people to change. And what you're doing is using everything that you've got, music and books and classes, and really dedicating yourself to making that happen. Let's do another minute of the other song as well. So I'm going to bring that up.
And while you're bringing that up, I want to say that dandelions in the yard actually help to aerate the soil and make the soil healthier for other plants to grow too. There's nothing poisonous or dangerous about the dandelions. How did we lose our way to think that it was worthy to spray toxic chemicals that end up in the water and air? Like, we got to change that. You're right. I've been talking about it for 50 years, and not everybody has been, but wake up, America, and smell the dandelions.
All right. And let's see. Bigger is just saying the Dandelion song is so captivating, and he needs to do a collaboration with you guys. So that's awesome. Yeah, he's doing amazing stuff in Uganda with the Rakai Youth for Action Development. So let's go ahead and share this. The long gone, the beginning of this just cracks me up. So let's I love the acting on this.
I hadn't pushed a lawnmower in so long.
It was awesome. Did you have like a drone or something? We have to talk about that. Okay, so let's get this going.
Free the plants, free the planet, free the plants, free the planet, free the plants, free the planet, power to the flowers.
That horrible machine, it almost shredded one of my wings. Isn't there something you'd rather be doing on a beautiful sunny day like this than standing behind this smelly, loud machine?
Oh, God, I hate it, Mom.
So just think, you could save time, money, the air, the bees, water. You could eat healthier if you perhaps grew food here. It's a win-win situation for you, your neighbors, and all of creation. And if we could just get other people to do this, we could be part of a solution to making a healthier planet. Would you help me? Yeah. I am so grateful. I would invite you to come visit me in my fairy realm, and I can show you some things we can do. Follow me. Welcome to the fairy garden.
Wow, this is amazing.
I bet you know what this is called. It's a dandelion. Most people think this is a weed, but I want you to know that dandelion is one of the top 5 most nutritious plants on the face of the planet. You can eat the leaves, put them in a salad, put them in a juice. You can use them to make a quiche or spanakopita. And then the dandelion root, you can dig up and wash it and saute it or put it in a dehydrator. It's a delicious vegetable, but it also makes a great tea for cleaning our liver, our blood, and our skin. So we don't have to go far to find another great plant. Right here is lemon balm. Lemon balm is a member of the mint family. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the flowers, you could juice it, make it into a salad, a pesto. It is known as
So you can see what I mean, that I just want to live with these people. I want to live in the fairy garden. And I guess this is your whole point, is that basically we can, and that we can create these spaces and live this way.
And we live right downtown. So I want you to know that we are like in the heart of downtown Boulder, but we have 2 compost bins. We're collecting the gray water from our, gutters. So we can all do something. But, when I moved here downtown, I thought, oh, well, you can forget about gardening. But, we are, planting fruit trees around the neighborhood. We're big on, if you're going to plant flowers, why not look into what flowers are good for the pollinators, for the bees and the butterflies. If you're going to grow something, why not make it edible and medicinal? And instead of growing grass, that little patch could be providing fresh salad greens. And I'll tell you something, Joan, when we buy food at the grocery store, how long ago was that food in the ground? It could have been 2 weeks. It could have been 6 weeks. It could have been even longer. But as Bethe Lovelight was saying, the amount of energy you get from eating a salad that was growing 5 minutes ago, it makes you feel like a superhuman. We really feel invigorated, and we just need to rethink, that weed is a good thing.
Yeah.
And it really is about that shift when I met Brigitte and I realized that there was all this free food right outside my door. And of course, you don't want to get it from a busy road, but once you start to identify even just 5 to 10 plants, you're like, wow, we save thousands of dollars. And they love to be pruned. It just makes them grow more. And, once you realize that it's not normal to put a hazmat suit on and spray your food, and it's like, that's what pesticides are. And when you start to go around and harvest wild weeds or even grow a little bit of your own food, you realize I would never spray that on my food. And I don't want to buy food that's been sprayed with something that's bad for me, bad for the bees, bad for the water, and bad for the planet. And so just understanding and promoting organic gardening and wild harvesting. And it can change your whole life, make you feel good.
Yeah. And, from my perspective, like growing up and caring about the planet, the thing that I thought about doing was working in solar energy. And so I went into engineering, and, it was all about applying this technological fix. And we actually we ignored the humans because we couldn't factor them into the equation. And of course, the technology doesn't always deliver without the human supporting it. So I think that this thing of just working in concert, going straight to nature, and that abundance, I was watching a video yesterday of somebody planting all the scraps from his kitchen, which one of our teams did this as their project for the challenge last year. She developed a method to take everything that came through her kitchen and regrew it. And she grew trees that she sold for money, and she had all this food during the pandemic, so they didn't have to go out shopping. But it was just amazing just watching all this stuff popping up from what we would normally just trash. And so understanding that nature is so abundant, so generous, and that's the kind of world that we can live in. So here's my question. So somebody like me, I live in an apartment. There's no space for me to grow anything outdoors. So I have some things indoors that I grow. But what would be your advice for where can I find dandelions that I can eat, how would I know if they're not covered with pesticides, or what would be an idea that you have for eating out in the wild somehow?
Well, one thing we encourage people to do is walk more and walk down the alleys, where it's not a busy road. But I'm also encouraging people who live in apartments, condominiums, because we live in a condominium, is to get together with other neighbors. I love, Joan, how you're always saying, like, create a team and, see if you can't get some of the other apartment dwellers to say, hey, we would like to have a community garden. We would like to have a place where our children and pets can roam without tracking pesticides into the home or breathing them in. So it may mean that you start going to homeowners meetings, that you meet your neighbors, that you have a petition and that you present to the landowners or whoever you're paying your rent to. But we really need to change that. Usually, at least in Boulder County, because we got this on the ballot, when pesticides are sprayed, they have to post a sign 48 hours before and after that they've sprayed pesticides. But, still you don't really know. So we're also encouraging people to walk more, vacant lots. But what can you do even in your backyard, on the sidewalk? But again, if you start walking more and exploring the alleys and the perimeters of parks, you're gonna find these things. And it's not just dandelion. There's violets and chickweed and malva and plantain. I wrote a little book. Actually, it's a big book called The Desktop Guide to Herbal Medicine. It tells you, super nerdy, heady stuff about, what plants are edible and medicinal. I also have a phone app called I Plant with Brigitte Mars. So, learning to identify the plants, taking an herb walk, spending more time in nature. And again, if you live in an apartment, you can grow sprouts. I have a few YouTubes, how to grow sunflower sprouts, but what can you grow on your balcony or your porch? Cherry tomatoes or, stinging nettles, for example. So you start, but I really do think community involvement, because most apartments, they're watering the grass. And if that water could be used, a proverb I heard as a teen that I love to repeat is, if you have water to throw away, throw it on a plant. Not only do we poison our yards, but we waste so much water. What if we collected water in a basin from, rinsing a dish or rinsing a head of lettuce, and we just gave it to the mint plants or to a raspberry bush outside? So we're going to need to do that. So we might as well start now.
And just to add to that, there's a neighbor right down about 5 houses down that has a bunch of dandelions. And so Brigitte does happen to know him, but I met him and then we just asked him, hey, do you spray pesticides? But we kind of knew that they didn't, because you can tell that the dandelions shrivel up and they look really sick and dead. And his they look actually vibrant and alive. And we said, hey, we're going to make a dandelion dish and we'll bring you some of it. Do you mind if we harvest your dandelions? He said, no, you go right ahead. So we made a friend, we made dandelion stuffing or dandelion loaf, and brought him some, and then dandelion muffins. So that's a great way too to get to know your neighbors, and they're usually not going to use them, and they're happy to help. And then it spreads the word that you can actually eat these. So that's another way you can harvest.
I love that, because you could actually probably go on Nextdoor too and say, hey, anybody want some of their dandelions to be harvested, and make a lot of friends. And the alleyways, that's a great idea too, because that's that area where they're probably not out there trying to manicure. But yeah, meeting, all these things. So nature is intending you to get out there, meet your neighbors, and collaborate.
And we have a few neighbors who actually say, please come. We won't mow until you've brought your class here. Our lawn is your lawn. So they really love it. And again, this kind of community activism is so important. Many people, they just can't be bothered, but you ask permission and then you bring them something nice. And this week we've had yellow duck quiche. We've had dandelion loaf. We had a raw vegan chocolate cake with violets on it last night. And it really feels good.
And you can also find on trails, you can take a little bag and kind of, you kind of have to, I'm not sure all the legalities of that, but, it is a planet that we share. And if you find plants that you can harvest there, that's another good idea.
Right. Well, and so as we're kind of coming towards the end, let's make sure that people know what all you have coming up and how to find you. I put in the details there, BrigitteMars.com and BethyLoveLight.com, so that people have that contact info. So what are some of the events that you have coming up? Bethe Lovelight, do you want to start by mentioning
Sure.
something that's happening and how people can kind of hear you and interact with you?
Sure. We have a Be-In, that's BEEN, but we're also going to be there in person. It will be outside at the Honey and More store in Lyons, Colorado on June 6th from 12 to 5. Please come in bright colors and costumes, and we're going to be celebrating the bees and flowers and gardens, and there'll be music. I'll be doing some conscious hip hop. Brigitte will be giving an herb walk, and hopefully it'll be a beautiful sunny day, and so it'll be music and kids and dancing and edutainment, really. So, and if you want to listen to some of my music, you can find me on SoundCloud and Reverb Nation and YouTube and at BethyLoveLight.com. That's spelled like Be Thy Lovelight, BETHY, Love Light. And yeah, you can hear my music there. So, and Spotify too.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so Bethe Lovelight, that's awesome. So the Be-In on June 6th. And Brigitte, are there, I know you've got a ton of different classes and all kinds of stuff coming up. And also just to mention that Brigitte has, is it 14 books? So if you're curious about this, she's probably got a book on that topic that you could dive into.
Thank you. And if you go to my website, you'll see a list of classes, because one of the things I learned is that even if you are a gardener, a lot of the weeds that come up in your garden are edible, and that you can have 2 to 3 times more food in your garden if you learn to use the weeds. So while we're working in the garden and we're weeding, we're actually picking salad for dinner. And, the weeds are survivors. And when we look at this polluted planet with all its problems, I really feel that the weeds have some type of adaptive skill to survive adversity. They do well with less water. They survive frost and drought much better than our cultivated vegetables. And most of them are the ancestors of our cultivated vegetables. So it's a new awakening, and it's really a beautiful lifestyle. And we just want to share it with people. And we're so grateful, Joan, for your part in waking people up. And it's an honor to be on your show. And we look forward to meeting our new friend from Africa. So reach out, and because we are all about making a positive difference. We can all do something.
Yeah, this is really, and this is what it's about, is just the sharing ideas and getting excited. Yeah, so I know that you have herb walks coming up. You have your 10-week herbal healing course. And so all kinds of different ways that people can get involved and dive in. And just what you were saying, it's funny, I was volunteering at Ecar Farm last summer. And it was amazing too, because just as you said, we were pulling out this one weed, which at the moment, I can't remember which one it was, but it was taking over. But they were saying, well, actually that's edible. So when we turned that around, I was like, wow, we have this huge harvest, and the vegetables that we were growing were nowhere near ready. But this weed was all over the place and was ready to go. And so then you also have the Light It Up show.
Yeah, so Light It Up is all about lighting up our lives in every way. So we interview all kinds of people and sing great songs, and it's really about activating all of our chakras and our body, mind, and spirit. I mean, because really for me, that's what this movement is all about. Like, do you want to feel good? Do you want to cleanse out all the bad and bring in the good, and the good music and the good vibes and the good food, and come this way, because that's what, all of us, that's why we're on this show together, right? And it's, when you feel good, life is just so much more fun. So that's really what eating these weeds and having a garden and sharing it with others. And it's like living the good life, which is really actually the simple things.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's when we see how much the brainwashing has taken hold, when we think that the good life is this whole other path through all this other stuff, and it's right here. And yeah, okay, so let's see. You were just typing something in the chat there.
Our show lighted up. So if you go to our websites, but we are like so committed. Every day we can do something. And, we've been brainwashed to think that we need to use lots of gasoline, that our food needs to come from other continents, that we need to have asparagus in January. So we're just saying, let's look to nature. Let's be part of the solution. Let's grow edible foods. Yes. Peace and blessings.
Amen. All right. And go forth and be part of nature and this beautiful community that we're creating every day. All right. Well, thank you so much, Bethe Lovelight. Thank you, Brigitte.
Thanks, Joan.
Yeah,
we'll make you a nettle juice.
Nettle juice.
In Boulder. Reach out sometime when you're in Boulder, okay?
That sounds perfect. That sounds great. All right. So everybody get out there, show the dandelions some love, and let's have this transformation. So it starts with ourselves, transforming ourselves so that we can transform the communities, transform our world. If you want to be part of a team taking something on, then definitely sign up for our 2021 International Climate Action Challenge, because we hop on with people from around the world twice a week and share what it is that we're doing during those 90 days. And it's a pretty exciting experience. So we invite you to do that. So thanks, everybody. And check out BrigitteMars.com and BethyLoveLight.com. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
So much. Peace.
Thank you.
Some blessings.